I know I said that this video was going to be released last week. It's in fact being released this week because it took way too long to make this video. I apologize for that. Without further ado, this is Rage 2, a video game analysis.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the debut grand opening of Mad Villain Bistro Veteran.
I won't do this a lot, and I don't think I've done this really since the start of the video game analysis series, but I will be comparing Rage 2 to other games to provide a context for both how far Rage has come and also how far and how great id Software has become as a developer in developing new mechanics in their games. So that's kind of just why I'll be looking at Mad Max and one other game as well. So we'll start off with Mad Max. Mad Max, as you know, is a car combat post-apocalyptic game based upon the movie series. It has high-octane, dirty combat. It has a dedicated ram button. It has a harpoon. It has a shotgun. Max can carry a shotgun, obviously. But that's kind of where the car combat stops when it comes to weapons. You have nitrous as well, but there's very, very little height to the Mad Max combat. Doesn't make it boring, makes it pretty fun actually. But that's the extent. Rage 2 takes that combat and it elevates it. Not only do you have a dedicated RAM button within your game, but they've also, id Software has pushed the heights of the weapons in this game, Rage 2, exponentially. Let's start off with the enemy weapons. The enemy cars, by the way, and all cars in the game can be driven. The enemy cars can be driven. In fact, at the beginning of the game, Walker, the main character of Rage 2, he actually takes the Phoenix that he's driving throughout the trailers and the gameplay. So you can drive anything that you can see. That's what the developers at id Software have been pushing. And the enemy vehicles, they come in all shapes and sizes. Not only the Phoenix, they also have motorcycles as well that you can drive. And they even have a motorcycle that transforms into a helicopter, pretty much. But we're not going to be focusing on that. We're going to be focusing on what they actually showed. And what they showed were vehicles that could lay down electric traps, could also transform themselves and combine into an electric trap as well. And you have these big monster trucks and these leaders of these convoys that just look phenomenal. It looks like a page almost out of Mad Max. It doesn't completely, but you can tell that this is a post-apocalyptic game that has cars in it, pretty much like Mad Max. But then you also get to your side, the other half of the car combat, where enemies, they don't just lay traps like electrical and fire traps, but now your car is equipped with a minigun, powerful, motorized machine of death that slightly chews apart some vehicles, but not as much as the motor and, yes, the missile launcher that are both used to dispatch very easily, I might add, the enemy convoy that you're chasing. So the car combat has depth to it. It has heights that I personally, I haven't seen since like Arkham City, or not Arkham City, what was it? Arkham Knight. Except in this game, it actually looks like a whole lot of fun. So the final thing we'll talk about and discuss today is summarized in a phrase called the new id on the block. Because id is trying to do a whole bunch of new things with their most current games. With Doom Eternal and Rage 2, they're trying to get away from the id of old, the id of the 1990s, isometric, dungeon crawling, first-person shooting action. Not to say that that was not fun, but they're trying to create something new, and they're trying to innovate. They're trying to reestablished themselves as one of the best first-person shooter developers in the game right now. And we can look at Doom Eternal. I just finished playing Doom, the 2016 release, and in that game, it was great, but you don't have the moveset that you do in Doom Eternal, where your shotgun now is a grappling hook. You have a double jump and you have a dash, and I also think you also have a double dash as well. And you have so much mobility and so much freedom of movement now in this new Doom Eternal than you did in the previous Doom that was released 3 years ago. And this transfers, this new philosophy that it has undertaken, transfers now to Rage 2, where your character has a whole bevy of different abilities. It has the slam ability where you slam into the ground with your character. You have the shatter, which is like the force push. You have the gravity grenade, where it's pretty much a grenade that can suck in enemies like a black hole. You have the barrier, which can obviously act as a barrier. And then you have overdrive, where your character, Walker, kind of turns into the Doom guy for like 2 seconds. Maybe 30 seconds, depending on how long it is. And all of these abilities can be combined with the wing stick. It can be combined, the gravity grenade and shatter, and get more elevation, so that way your slam is more destructive. You have a whole bunch of, and I think this is really the start of the abilities, not the end, just the start. There's apparently upgrades that you can get with these abilities. One upgrade that you can get with the barrier makes it damaging to enemies. So you can turn the barrier into a shredder. If you throw out the gravity grenade, obviously enemies get sucked into it. And if you throw it right next to the barrier, they'll be damaged because the barrier now deals damage. And it is trying to do a whole bunch of innovation. They're trying to freshen up their games. And me personally, I'm not that huge on innovation. I'm not that big on it. A lot of people put a lot of emphasis on it. I personally don't. I'm more concerned about the execution of the ideas rather than the ideas themselves. And it has executed upon their most recent ideas. Doom, Rage 2, and it looks also like Doom Eternal very, very well. And I think at the end of this year, it is going to have a couple of games at the Game Awards show. Some of them are going to be nominated for Game of the Year. Some of them are probably going to be nominated for Best First-Person Shooter of the Year. And it is going to look back at this year with satisfaction, because a lot of their games are pretty good.